Hello, everybody. A very, very warm welcome to all of you out there who have come uh, to. We are going to talk to Sanchay today. So, first of all, welcome, Sanjay.
Thank
Sanchay,
you.
sorry.
Yeah,
A
thank you.
big, big, big congratulations to you. In fact, let me just quickly show my viewers. All right, what we are going to discuss today. So, Sanchay, in his very first attempt, has been able to get his dream score, right, Sanchay?
Yes, madam.
I mean, was that your dream score, or like what? Like you'd not
See, I
dreamt
always
of that
say
as
the
an
higher the
achievement?
better, but it is much more. Matlab, what I wanted, it's much more than that. So
Okay,
I'm
okay.
happy with it.
So very few people in my I've got tons of experience in my line. Very few people are able to cross that boundary. In their very first attempt, and that too, you prepared for just what? How 2 to 3 months, right? You
Yeah,
use the
around
online GMATWhiz course.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so very few people just make it within that short span of time. And Sanchay, if you guys can see the scores, a quant 90, verbal 82, and data insights 83. I mean, so I think in quant it was 100 percentile.
Yes, ma'am.
Verbal, I believe, was your lowest, the 76 percentile, and DI was again, I think, 98th percentile, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
overall, it
96.
was 98th percentile. So a
96%.
big, 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 big congratulations to you. And
Thank
for
you.
those of you who definitely want to take a look at Sanchay's scorecard, I'll just show that also in a minute. And Sanchay, then we'll get going. So that's Sanchay's scorecard there. For those of you, you can see that. And we at GMATWhiz are thrilled to bits. So Sanchay, you tell us a little bit about your journey, okay? Like when you started off your prep, all right, that was sometime in June, I think you were saying.
Yes, ma'am. Sometime in
Um,
June I started.
what what were your levels at that time? Would you say about your DI, your quant, your verbal?
So started my prep around June. So in the initial stage, my levels were around quant was since my college days, quant has been my strength. So quant
Now
was
you're an
always.
IITian.
Yes, I have done my engineering from IIT Bombay. So quant was always my strength, and from the start, baseline almost it was 89, 90. But yeah, verbal and DI were the main areas where I needed to focus and improve. So verbal initially was somewhere around 76, which has gone to 82, and DI was around
Wow.
78, which has gone to 83.
Okay. I mean,
So
that's amazing.
yeah,
So,
so
how would you describe were you at that starting point of, when you started the GMAT course? Just at that point, what were your inclinations, or what were your understanding about CR and RC, and what was your approach at that point of time?
Um, actually, GMAT was new to me. GMAT Focus Edition was even newer to me. And then when I went into the syllabus and all of it, uh, Quant again, I knew the topics. Verbal, the comprehension part, reading comprehension part, okay, still there was some touch. There was I had done it sometime before, but the critical reasoning part was quite new to me. Matlab, what I considered to be critical reasoning and what actually is critical reasoning, now I can differentiate. Now I can understand, okay, what the
Okay.
particular the
So you were
keyword means.
that raw, like you were
Yeah,
that raw,
yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
from scratch.
yeah.
Okay.
And data insights is new to everybody. Since Focus Edition, DI is absolutely new. So as I am a working professional, I am much more comfortable in video courses. Matlab, it takes me, I am very much comfortable in video courses because it takes less time for me. If I go for a book reading or a kind of reading kind of course, it will be time consuming for me. So when I searched online for video courses, one of the most prominent names that came on online also, and our GMAT Club forum also, was GMATWhiz. So I started off with a trial version. You some topics you give access.
Yes, yes,
So I
there's a
started.
trial version.
Yeah, there
Yes.
is trial version. So I started off with the trial version, and I was very comfortable with it. I was understanding the topics, not just the quant, but the verbal as well. And once I thought, okay, verbal, I am able to understand from these lectures. Let me go full fledged in it. So I
Okay.
took initially for 1 month, and then I extended. So total prep
Okay.
was 3 months
Okay,
for
great.
ANG Matrix. Yeah.
So what did you so your understanding of, let's say, critical reasoning, which is what you're saying, was completely like almost zero. What did you realize? So, what did you learn? If you can give us a little bit about your journey about the CR, how did you improve your CR?
I'll just answer in the way your course is built up.
Yeah,
Like
that would
you
be very
start off with
helpful.
the SV pairs, the subject verb pairs. So it is very important to identify. Initially, when I was going through those lectures, I was just asking myself, why is this required? No question will be asked about SV pairs. But
Right.
when I went on to those keyword questions where you have to relate, okay, what the assumption means, then you have to know, okay, this person is doing this thing, or this body is thinking about this thing. So then you start evolve, the thinking starts evolving, and the
So the
most,
importance of grammar, the
yeah,
importance of sentence understanding comes in.
comes in, that comes in. And then all the keywords, you have one, you have particular modules on each word. Assumption, there are but one module. Then boldface, there is a module. Flaw, there is a module. And each keyword has been explained beautifully. And the way the course is structured, you have the video lesson, then you have the booster questions, then you have the practice questions. So that way I was able to build upon, okay, a particular question, what does the question setter wants me, what he is looking for. Because in any GMAT questions, there are five options, three you can eliminate. One is a option that you will answer but is not the answer, and then there is the final
The
answer,
trap choice, the
the trap
attractive
choice.
trap choice.
So for,
Right.
for 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 eliminating that trap choice, you have got to understand what the question setter wants to, is wanting to ask you. So that only comes when you are able to know what the keyword means, and then practice. Obviously GMAT is all about practice, I think.
Absolutely.
30-35% is study,
But
60
you would
65
agree,
70.
right? It's just practicing questions is not going to really get
No,
you there. You have
no,
to
no, no.
apply the
Base.
right
You have to
approach.
have a base. You have to have a base. Uh, when this is, for me, it is more true for DI. It is much more true for DI, because in DI you have a question, you can solve it. There is no problem, but time constraint comes in. That's where you need to know how to solve. There's a particular way to solve any particular question. So if that way, the video lectures come in very handy. Just starting questions in a raw form, you will be able to solve them. You will be very happy that you have solved them. And in exam day, when you go, you will end up solving 14 15 questions out of 21. Then you will realize what happened, because you have not accustomed yourself for practicing in a particular way, that helps
Structure.
you attempt all the questions. So that is where that video series the course comes in. Any course particular, for that matter, comes in. So that is why, uh, as you said, just solving questions will lead you nowhere. Guidance is required. Any guided approach, a guided practice, only that will
Mhm.
help clear the aim.
So, can you just point out some of the things that you really found useful as a learning tool? Okay, it's a video based course, yes, but in terms of the course content itself, what what would you say helped you the most to learn to answer those CR questions within that average 2 minute frame?
Yes. So first of all, as I said, the structure itself. When you have this kind of things, when you have completed one module, then you are going to the solidify questions. When you solve the solidify questions and see the video, you come to know, okay, there was a better approach available to solve this
Ah,
particular question. There is a faster approach available. So that helps evolve your understanding. So that is first thing that helps you grow. Then practice question itself. Once you are able to do the solidify questions, booster questions, and then you move on to the practice questions. Once you do the practice questions, you feel confident. So that structure, that flow, firstly, that is something that is commendable. Secondly, and this is true for the DI part, your DI series, the booster and these questions are available in form of video series, unlike the Quant and DI, and which is very much essential because people know Quant. Much of
right.
verbal people know, but DI nobody knows, in
Nobody.
the sense that among the three, it is the newest of the topics. So, and questions people might know, but how to solve them, that is something that one needs to learn. Suppose when you go to a multi resource question, You cannot keep toggling between tabs, because that will end up taking, for three questions you will end up taking 10-12 minutes. So on your scratch pad, one first tab, you just make a table, rough table, note, jot down all the things. So these small things. Or in quant, when sir tells, okay, even prime means 2, nothing else. So these small things, small trap things or small things, they can help you solve a question faster. So that each video will have something. At this point of time, pointing out a particular thing will be very difficult, but when you go through all the videos, there will be something to learn in each of the videos.
Each of them. Right, right. I would also like to ask what importance, I mean, and this is so many people are watching us right now. So, this would be very helpful in letting them know that when you solve a question, is it enough to just look at the fact that, okay, you got it right? Or what else should a student do in order to be able to not only understand the approach for that particular question, but for future? How does that help? Like, what helps? I mean, the solution.
The solution, definitely, there will be multiple approaches to a particular question.
Mhm.
And as much the GMAT exam, as much as it is about the accuracy of it, it is more about the time management. So if a question you can do, if a two average is a 2 minutes 15 seconds for a question, if you
Right.
can do a particular question in 1.5 minutes, you are saving time for some other question which you might not be able to do in 2 minutes. So if you are going through those video solutions, you will definitely find some of the questions, definitely your approach will be bang on, you can be happy about that. But some of the questions, there will be a better approach available. So jot it down somewhere in your notes when you're going before the exam. Okay, if this type of question comes, I can use this approach. So
Right.
definitely that helps. Definitely all the videos, whether it is study video or the booster video, the solidify video, each video will teach you something, especially in a topic that you are weak, which you consider yourself that it is weak. Definitely you should not miss any video on that.
So your advice would definitely be for anybody who's, trying to improve their verbal or DI or quant. That always look at the approach and the solution to every question that you solve. So I have
Yes.
Anjanaya Kumar here asking a question, saying that other than the booster concept practice questions, did you practice from other sources too for all the three questions? I mean, he means area. Also, in the exam, did you skip any questions or sets? If yes, how did you know what to leave?
Okay,
So,
so
did you
I'll answer
practice from other
sequentially.
sources?
I'll answer
And did you skip
sequentially.
any questions? And how did you know which question to skip?
Sure, I'll answer this sequentially. Firstly, I did not just the practice questions and the booster questions. There's a separate module in GMATWhiz only, where you can tailor your own mocks. You have around 1200 odd questions for quant, 400 questions for verbal.
The
So you have to
customized
practice your
quizzes.
customized quizzes for you. Particularly if you have done revision of say 3 topics, you make a customized quiz for yourself. See how good you are, how well you are prepared. So that is what other source. Apart from that, people have to do the OG, the guides,
OGs.
official guides.
Absolutely.
Apart from that, there is a huge resource of questions available in the our GMAT club forum.
Right.
So
Right.
people can take questions from there. They're really good questions. So if somebody is I think these official guide and the questions available GMATWhiz are quite enough. But some people require to practice more. They require more
Mhm.
practice to get up to the speed or up to the accuracy. So yeah, for them they can go for the GMAT. I did that some of the questions of verbal from that, but yeah, that's it. That's it.
So the next question that he had asked was, in the exam, did you leave or skip any sets? I think the idea is, did you, when he's talking about sets or questions, I think he's asking, did you skip any CR questions? Did you skip any RC questions? Did you skip any DI sets, like, MSR sets? Did you skip anything, Sanchay?
No, I did not skip anything. Through the advice of other people, my friends, and on forums which I have read, I came. My understanding was if you leave something, it's a bigger penalty than
Yes.
some question being wrong. So I made a couple of educated questions in the DI section, but I did not leave
Mhm.
anything. I did not leave anything. I did not.
Okay. So we'll come back to that DI part in a moment. That hope that answers your question, Anjanya. That Sanchay did not really skip questions in the sense that, okay, let me just mark this without solving and let me move forward. Because again, this is for the knowledge of those of you watching the webinar, that the algorithm is built in such a way that if you get more questions wrong, let's say if you get the tail end questions wrong, let's say if you're looking at verbal, okay, if you don't have time and you have to rush, you can afford to get question number 21, 22, 23, wrong. Not that you want to get them wrong, but
Yeah.
your penalty will be way lower compared to crunching time in the earlier questions, right? Or skipping the entire set, marking just something and moving on and thinking that, okay, I'm going to answer easier questions, or maybe I can't do MSR, let me do the rest of it. So it doesn't work that way, guys. And Sanchay here will also, I think you'll agree to that, Sanchay, right?
Yeah, adding to that, I have a mental note in my mind that for the first 3 or 4 questions, take 3 minutes, no problem, but don't do them wrong. If you, because I read that especially in quant, if you do first 2 or 3 questions wrong, there is a chance that the 85 plus bracket might not even open. So
Correct.
I was very careful not to do any silly mistake. I double checked my calculations and all for the first 3 4 questions, and then I
So that is a
rushed through
very
the question.
important thing that you have mentioned, Sanjay. A lot of students, while even when I take the private tutoring sessions, they keep saying that, I'm taking a lot of time when I'm beginning. It's okay, guys. Okay, it's okay to take a little more time on the first couple of questions. That puts you in the, it gives you that warm up, puts you in the groove. You're automatically going to be able to speed up later on. But don't start crunching time the moment you see a question pop up on the
Yeah.
screen, right? That panicky feeling,
You have
kind of
you
thing
have
that
45 minutes. You need not rush on the first second.
exactly. So let's so you've told us a lot about that CR you learned through the way the course has been structured and the questions themselves. Just to quickly touch upon the quality of the questions that you did on GMATWhiz. You've taken the actual exam, you've taken the mocks. How do you compare with the quality of the questions?
Quite similar one, and especially the parts which are available in the mock quizzes, QuizWhiz, what you are having
This
session.
quiz,
Those
right?
questions are quite up to the level, the hardness,
Yeah, because
the type
in the
of questions.
course, we have deliberately kept the difficulty a
Yeah, because
little
that
lower.
the initial questions are for understanding purposes.
Yes,
That
for
QuizWhiz is
learning.
for the practice purposes. That's why
Absolutely.
some people who are rushing through the syllabus, they might do only the study module, they might not do the booster question and go for the OG questions. Some people might do the video lectures, do some of the practice questions, and then go for the OG question. My advice would be, you do the video modules, you do the practice questions, go for a custom question for about 20, custom quiz for about 20 questions on that particular topic. Then you consider your topic to be
Complete.
completed, wholesome.
So
That is a
learn the
wholesome experience.
concepts,
Yeah.
go through the course, learn the concepts, solve the easier questions,
Yeah.
then you graduate to harder questions, maybe then solve OGs and then solve the whiz quiz, the customized quiz
Yes.
to
Yes.
ensure
Yes.
that your learning
Because
is
the initial
complete.
part, the booster, the practice, that whole thing is hand holding, because he's telling you
Yes,
everything. Only when you do an independent quiz for 20 questions, because in the practice questions you have 4 or 5 questions only. So
right.
the practice of sitting for 40 45 minutes on a particular quiz, that does not come in
That does
naturally.
not come in that.
So when you take a 20 25 question quiz, then you are wholly prepared. Then after that, if you try, and if after that if you are facing problem, then you need to take some advice from somebody or guidance from somebody. But I think if you follow this whole process for 90% of the topics, you will confidently solve all the questions, at least the medium to hard questions. Not maybe not 750 plus questions, but definitely the medium questions you will be able to solve with this process.
Okay, so we've spoken quite a bit now about the CR. What about RC? Like you did say that, RC you were at least familiar with
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, reading and comprehension.
Yeah.
Even then, you would have found the GMAT RCs a tad bit different, right?
The one thing I learned the most from the course was, don't keep on rereading the paras.
I'm so
You
glad you
don't
mentioned that.
realize
Please
you
elaborate.
don't realize the amount of time you waste in rereading. Time just goes off. You'll look at your timer, 20 minutes left, you go on to read the para, you read it twice, you read it thrice, you look at the clock, it's 12 minutes remaining. And then that panic that comes over, okay, this para is left, after this 4 more questions are left or 5 more questions are left. So you read, you take your time on the first reading, but you read it thoroughly. You don't get bogged down by the English of it. You just try to understand what, there are hardly 4 sentences in a paragraph. 4 sentence, 4 sentence, 4 sentence. Mostly paragraphs are like this. You just try to find what is the basic idea of each paragraph, so that when you come to a question, you will know which para to hit, and then you can easily, just don't keep repeating reading the para that I have to understand the para. You need not understand the whole para, only you have to understand enough to answer the 3 questions.
Hmm.
So you break down, you take your time, and you read the para. You note down some of the points if you want. Some
Mhm.
people have a habit of writing while
Running
reading.
notes.
Yeah,
True.
running notes you can make, but don't keep on repeating to read the para.
Rereading. I
Rereading
think to
is,
avoid rereading, I guess the best tool would be to break down sentences, Sanjay.
yes, yes, man. That is where that sub SV pair and all come in. All
The
those
SC
things
pair
help you
comes
to
in.
break down, make it
Right.
easier. A complex sentence may be 2 lines long, but if you break it down, it hardly means, you can crunch it down in a short clause. Okay, this means this.
Right.
So you can
Simplification.
do that.
Absolutely. All right, great. So that was RC there, which GMATWhiz talks a lot about, involved and evolved reading. So that's the whole process. Break down the sentences, read them, and get through the passage that way. Make sure you're not rereading. So that little bit of faith in the and patience, I think people have to develop that. Okay, I am taking a little more time on reading the passage, but I'm going to get there. Does that
Yes.
help to reduce the time on the questions, Sanjay?
Initially you have to take a leap of faith, because initially you are going to take a little more time. You have been out of touch, people may be out of touch of solving some
Right.
question or reading such long paragraphs for long. Maybe you start reading for the first 10 or 15 days, you
Mhm.
may take 10 minutes to read the particular para, you may think this is not helping me. But once you are through and you start practicing, maybe 1 month, 1.5 month down the line, you may be able to read the whole paragraph in 4.5 minutes, and then solve the 3 questions in 1 minute each. Then you are well within the target. So initially it's a leap of faith, but it pays off.
It pays off. Great,
It
great.
pays.
So Anjane has another question for us here, and that's also a very pertinent question, or even for those of you who are watching us. Did you prepare an error log, and how did you personally use it before the exam? So basically, I think he's asking how did whether you prepared an error log or not, and then in how was it useful for you?
Error log I prepared for quant and verbal. I did not prepare any error log. And quant was basically, error logs were mainly the exceptions. Okay, I fell for a trap, I fell for, don't fall for this trap, don't fall for this
Okay,
trap. And verbal was more about, again, mainly the error log for me came in the critical reasoning questions.
right.
And that was more about, okay, the question stem was assumption made by something something something, and I took assumption by the author or the third party. So I have to
Okay.
make, okay, understand what the question stem says, understand what the keyword says. So those error logs are more about what I have to do. So prior to getting into that Pearson Center, I just went through my notes. Okay, read the question stem, and then ask yourself, assumption by whom, flaw by whom, flaw of what. So just reading assumption and then just taking the answer, it might lead you to the trap answer or the, so that's why you have to read the
So
question
you would
stem
say
completely.
error log is an important tool, very important tool.
Yeah. And
So
it
from
all
what I have
depends on one's preparation. Some people will go without it, and some people will require it.
But
It's
how
a good
would you
tool.
recommend as a
Yes,
beginner, as a new,
yes, yes,
fresher who gave it for the first time
definitely,
and scored a 700, you would
definitely.
recommend it, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
from what I have understood, Sanjay, and this is for you, Anjaneya, that you solve a question, you go through the solutions irrespective of whether you got the question correct or not,
You have
and
to go
then you
through the,
capture your, let's say,
yeah.
takeaways, what you missed.
Error log may not be even for the error. You may be perfectly right, but a better approach was available. You have to jot it down somewhere for you to
I
revise
really
something
love
better.
that you may not have had an error, yet
Yeah,
you visited the solution of that question to understand what you could have done to do it better.
better. You
See,
note it
these
down somewhere.
and note it down somewhere. I think instead of random noting it here and there is what that error log
It
does for you.
helps
It's all there in one
a week
place.
before the exam, 5 days before the exam. Because at that point of time, you are not doing much. You are just practicing some questions and you need something to revise. You cannot go through the whole course again. So either your notes, error log, whatever you may call it, but you have to make an organized set. Okay, these are my formula part. This is my normal notes and this is my to remember things. So that kind of list, if you have, it will be really helpful.
Great. All right, so we've spoken about verbal, CR, and DI, and again, very good example that from where it's almost a 7-8 point scaling, and that's not easy to come by if we talk about verbal. That also in your first shot in an exam like GMAT. Let's also now talk about DI. Like for you, DI was a totally like a zero
Yeah.
base, right? You knew nothing about it.
No, no, no.
So, can you just actually give a detailed understanding that how did you start with the help of the course? How did you go ahead?
Firstly, the first thing was there, I read the topics of the course. Okay, what is two part analysis, what is multi-source.
Okay,
Well, I
okay,
did not know what is multi-source reasoning. What is two
okay,
part analysis, whether there are two
okay,
questions or there are two parts to a single question. So
okay.
so
The layout, just the layout of it.
just the layout, you start with just the layout. So then I started off with the prep. I read the two-part analysis. I went through graphs is something, again, because of the quant background. Graph is something that I grasped quickly. I grasped really quickly. Two-part analysis and multi-source reasoning is something where something which I needed a lot of practice with. So
Mhm.
I, again, through
So,
the
did the CR
solution.
part help you with the a little bit
Yes.
with the two-part analysis
Yes.
also?
See, there are some questions which are directly in any DI questions. It may be a math DI question or a non-math DI question. Non-math DI questions, the verbal comes in directly. In any DI question, verbal will come either directly or indirectly.
I
Uh,
know, right?
yeah, for
Whether
the
it's data
verbal DI questions,
sufficiency
it
or
comes. Yeah, but for the verbal DI questions, it comes in directly because there also it asks what is the assumption, what is this, what is the those
strengthen,
keywords are present
weaken,
even in the DI
justify.
questions. Yeah, so you need
Right.
to know those specific keywords. And additionally, again, coming to that, suppose multi-source reasoning, what I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned is you cannot keep on toggling tabs. So when I went through those video solutions, I came to know, okay, this is where you can cut short the time. You can just note down. There is a
Right.
20 by 20 table available. You need not get bogged down by the 20 by 20 table. You just see what is being asked. You go and attack that particular data set. So that's how I was able to build upon it. And then through the practice questions available, I tried to increase my speed. And again, coming to the difference between the practice part and the teaching part. In the teaching part, the data sufficiency questions are taught either with quant or verbal, but in the actual exam, they come in the DI part. And
Right.
in reality, what I experienced, what I during the exam, what I experienced, those are the questions actually where you can save time. If you are
Mm-hmm.
good, if you are good at reading the statement one, statement two with a clear mind, you are able to grasp, okay, I can, those questions can be solved in 1.5 minutes because you don't have to read too much. If you so though that the time saved in the data sufficiency question you can utilize in multi-source, because multi-source questions do tend to take more time however hard you try, because there is a
Yes.
lot of
And
things you have
people
to
should
go
not panic. Like it should be
through.
given that time that it deserves,
Yeah,
right? You have
yeah,
to.
yeah. Because even one thing you do wrong, whole question is wrong. Either in two-part analysis, or
Absolutely.
you have to do all the three parts right. You have to do all the two parts right. So you take your time. You have spent. Suppose you have spent 2.5 minutes on something, and then you hurry, and then you do one part wrong. It is better to take 30 seconds more and do that right.
So in DI, I mean, students get panicky, all right, how am I going to do the 20 questions in 45 minutes? But you would agree, right? We don't need to do all those 20 questions. If you're
No.
able to get through till 16 questions and mark the
Yes.
rest, just in
Yes.
case timing is a
Yes.
factor, it
That
works,
is what
right?
happened. Don't leave anything. make an educated guess on all, because leaving anything definitely will give a higher penalty. It's all about maximizing the score. You do your first 16, 15, 16 questions. You try to do them with your utmost accuracy. You try to do all of them as correctly as possible. Then for the last four, suppose you are having 3 or 4 minutes left, just try to read the question, eliminate a couple of options, then then try to just mark something. You mark something. My gist is you mark something for first 16 questions, 17 questions, whatever is possible. You try to solve them as diligently as possible. Don't try to do all the 20 questions and then end up doing 8 or 9 wrong. That will lead you nowhere. Better to try to do 16 questions, do 14 or 15 correct. Then out of 4, what you have guessed, maybe one might come correct. So 15 questions out of 20 will give you a decent score.
So Sanjay, when I have so that was very. I hope that was really helpful to all those of you. I mean, all of you who are listening to us. Sanjay, I've got a very important question for you. So you are a fresher, number one. Although you were, let's say, solid in quant, you really, let me say, you were really very raw with verbal and absolutely knew nothing of
Yeah.
DI. All right.
Yes. Yes.
You're a working professional, yet you were able to cover all these problems in just a matter of 2 to 3 months using an online course. All right. Not really going to any particular mentor or no private tutoring you have,
No, no.
right? So what I want to understand is, can you outline for the our viewers here that how did you go about planning for your daily, okay, what I'm going to study, how I'm going to study, and did the course itself help you in this study plan, so I want to talk about you as a working professional working a certain number of hours a day. How did you plan out your study, your prep, such that you were able to complete it in 3 months and take the exam and in the very first shot even get it right? Yeah.
So when you start off with the course, GMATWhiz course, there is an option of telling it how many hours a week you are willing to put in and what is your target range. So it will give you a personalized plan. So planning was done by GMATWhiz.
Okay, so it
I
worked
just
for you.
followed that plan. I just followed. Some days it will give me a weekly target. You have to do these many hours in a week to complete the course. Maybe on the weekdays I might fall short, so my target will be in weekends. You have to sit 8 hours. You sit 8 hours, but you have to complete the quota, because
Compensate for
backlog,
it.
once it starts building, there is no end to it.
That means you have to be consistent, you have to be disciplined, right?
Yes, and you study daily. If you can study for 40, 45
Approximately
minutes
how many hours were you putting in daily?
during weekdays, working days, around 2 to 2.5 hours.
Which is very
And
realistic for any working professional. It's not
yes,
like
you
you were
can.
putting in 7 hours, five
No,
hours,
no,
six
no,
hours during,
no.
all right. And
And
over the
then
weekend?
weekends will be 7, 8 hours. Weekends was the main time which I when I attacked the
Mhm.
course. So, and I think with this much time input on a daily basis and over a period of say 2 or 3 months, one can reasonably cover the course.
Maybe somebody who's also doing quant will take a little longer, but otherwise, you think the
Yeah.
whole thing can, the plan study, if you stick to the study plan made by the platform, you'll be able to
And
get there.
uh, it depends on each individual. Suppose I was good at quant, so many of the quant videos are there which I have played on 1.5 speed or 1.25 speed, because
Right.
I knew, okay, I can do this. I'll just skim through. If anything new comes, I'll just jot it down. If everything is what I already know or I'm comfortable with,
Right.
okay, I'm done with the video. So
But for
somebody
you,
might.
DI was new,
Yeah,
totally
so
scratched.
DI,
Verbal was
verbal, there are
scratched.
videos, which I have viewed twice or thrice also. Some of the videos I have viewed
Okay.
thrice also. But that it depends on the individual. If you can rush through some topics you are comfortable with, you rush through. Where you feel where you require more understanding, you require more time, you watch it. But it is possible with dedicated effort of 2 to 3 hours a day. In 3 months it is possible, coverage is possible. Then scoring depends on practice, how good you are at practice, and how well did you do the, it's a process. If you skip any
Okay.
part, then later you'll find, okay,
I mean, in
I'm
your
good
rush to
here.
finish off things quickly,
Yeah,
if you don't build the base and you
you
find yourself,
yeah.
all the hard work has been
Suppose,
wasted because you cut corners.
yeah, suppose, again I'm coming to the big booster questions because that is easier to relate to. So booster question, suppose you don't solve, you directly watch videos. you will never find out your fault. It will give you ready cooked answers, and you will just absorb them. If you do the question, you do a mistake, or you do take a longer path, and then you see the videos, people remember their mistakes for long. So if you do a particular mistake, you do a longer path, and then you see the video, then you'll come to know, okay, this is something I can improve upon. So that is my advice. You take the whole thing as a process, and you go through the process. You don't skip anything during that phase. Then in the
I think
revision phase, you can do that.
Vijay was asking this question, that what was your approach to quant and verbal also. I think part of it you have answered, but just I think Vijay might have just joined us right now. So can you just recap those two approaches, like as a first timer? Okay, verbal, do this, do this, do this. Quant, do this. I mean, quant will come to it in a moment, but verbal you've already spoken about it. So can you just round that up?
Yeah. So verbal, the topics like verbal and DI, where I was very raw. I just started like a student starting from zero. I saw the first video. I did not skip any video. I did not skip the SV pair. I did all the videos. I did all the questions. I went through the practice questions. Then I went to the CR part of it. There are some of the topics like bold face questions and flaw questions where I watched the same video twice. Today I
So if you
was, and
don't
tomorrow I
understand a
was.
video in
Yeah,
once,
yeah. Tomorrow, the next day, I was feeling, no, there is something I am not able to relate yet.
hmm,
I am only able to score one question out of the four questions, or two questions out of the four questions. Okay, go back, watch the videos again, then come back, solve the questions again. So everything, the structure, what is given in the course is enough. You need not plan anything. You just have to follow the plan. If you
just have to
follow the
follow
plan,
that. Right.
if you follow the plan, a decent score is already there. Then you have to jump to the higher level. Then that is about the practice you do on your mocks, or the question bank that is available.
So, finally, as promised to everybody, that you've consistently managed to score the 100th percentile in quant. You started off with the quant 90,
Yes.
and you maintained that throughout, and you also ended with that. So, can you tell the ones watching what should one do to get that quant 90, not only in terms of preparation, but also in terms of the exam strategy?
So first I'll come to the preparation of it, the
Right.
preparation part of it. Um, from a personal point of view, preparation for me did not take much effort, but this will not be the same for everybody. So again, since I have, for the topics where I was weak, I found the process and the plan available in the course to be sufficient. I think for people who are finding difficulty in quant, the quant module available is superb. I have seen, I've gone through it. For each topic, sir has given the exception question, the trap question, the practice questions, what you need to learn, what you need not learn, keep in mind, what is important. So the module is built beautifully. You can go through it, you can solve the questions. But in quant, the thing is, and that is how, if you see your question bank also, for if you are solving one or two questions in verbal, the same for the practice, for getting to the same level, you might have to solve three or four questions in quant. So quant requires more practice. That is what I mean to say, more number of
Okay.
questions you need to solve in quant.
Of the same
Because,
type.
yeah, because the propensity to do silly mistakes is high. You may do a mathematical error, you may do a negative to positive error. You might not, your mind might not go into considering, okay, this set of integers also I have to consider, this part of thing
Hmm.
I have to consider, this divisibility I have to consider. So the more number of mistakes you make,
Hmm.
the higher
More you.
chances of you doing them correctly during the exam. You have to do all the mistakes before the exam.
So you're covering all bases. If you're doing,
You
let's
have
say,
to cover
20, 30 different problems related to the same topic, you're covering the possibilities of all kinds of mistakes.
all kinds of mistakes. You note down in your error log, you note down in somewhere. Once you commit a mistake, the chances of you repeating that, if it's an understanding mistake, the chances of you repeating it is very low. Silly mistake, again, it's a personal thing. You need not rush during the exam. You have to be calm. You can double check your work. Enough time is there. Even for quant, there are more number of questions, but enough time is there. If you practice enough, you have to make your calculations little faster. If you make the calculation part of it, because most people I have seen, they take more time. Multiplication they'll take 1.5 2 minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to solve the whole question in 2 minutes. So calculation is something that you can work upon. It is the area where you can save some time. So you practice, you build upon your calculation skills, and then you take your time. You don't do any silly mistakes. And the thing that I told you the most, for a good Q90 or any good score, Q88, Q89 score, please don't do any wrong questions in the first four questions. You take extra time. You do the first four questions
Correct.
as well as possible.
So that you get to that bracket of
You,
85
you have to
plus.
get to that bracket, that 85 plus bracket. You have to get to that bracket. And first three four questions definitely are going to have one or two challenging questions. So you have
You've
to
got to be
just,
extra careful.
yeah, you just keep paper and pen aside, look at the question, what am I missing. It will come to you. Just keep a track of the time throughout the, not just in quant, throughout the exam. Just keep a look at the timer, and that's it.
So for the timer thing, the pacing strategy, I mean, different people do it differently, but what would you suggest in terms of keeping the time thing in mind? I mean, of course, you have to keep. So do you keep looking at the timer? Do you totally avoid the timer? Do you sometimes look at the timer? What was your strategy in terms of
Every three
pacing?
four question, every third question, I would look at the time.
Every
Every
third
third,
question. This is
every third.
for verbal, DI,
Yeah,
and quant,
throughout,
all of them.
throughout. For DI, it was like every question or every other question I was looking at the time, because
That was
yeah,
your the
that
scare
is
point. But given
that
that
is
also, you've got
yeah.
a DI 83, right? Yeah,
Yes.
it was 83.
But for
Amazing.
what I was,
For somebody who's a fresher, getting a 98th percentile in DI is no mean joke. So, I mean, I keep thinking about that, and it
yeah.
gives me certain, it isn't easy even for the best of us. So, you kept looking at the timer for every three, four questions, you would say, right?
Before the exam, during my practice, I accustomed myself to solve a particular question, say max within 3 minutes. So as a habit, I inculcated it. So when you're solving the question, you get a base idea. I think I am overshooting the time. If you
That
are solved
inner
enough
clock.
questions, that inner
That
clock, if you
inner
have
clock.
practiced enough, it will not tell you 2 minutes 15 seconds, but it will definitely tell you, okay, more than 3 minutes. I think I have taken more than 3 minutes. Just let me look at the clock. So that if you do practice, that will come to anybody. That's a natural instinct.
Amazing. I mean, so whatever you've said, Sanchay, what I can make out from your words, because for me also, this is the first time interviewing somebody, a fresher who's got into a 705 packet. First time I'm interviewing. We've had other students also, but I'm interviewing. For me, I think what comes out very clearly from your words is you were very consistent.
Yes.
You trusted the system, you followed it, all right, and you followed it very consistently and diligently. Like, it's not like, oh, okay, let me skip this, or let me leave that, let me do this, let me not do this. You followed it to the T. I
Yes.
guess whatever the AI would advise you, okay,
Yes.
focus on this, do this, you would do that as well, and apart from your own findings
Own
from your error
own
dogs,
assessment. Yeah.
and you stayed at it, right?
And
How many mocks did you
whatever,
write in total?
excuse me, madam.
How many mocks did you write in total? People have this thing of
Two.
10 mocks.
No, two
I knew
mocks.
one person who would write a mock every day,
No.
and it didn't really help, I mean, so
I
you just wrote
may
two
have
mocks.
given more number of these 20 question marks. Those I may have given on
The
alternate or
sectionals.
the
You gave a lot of
sectional.
sectionals.
Yeah.
Okay.
But complete marks, only the two marks that are available on the official
On the
site.
GMAT.com,
Yeah,
the
those. One
MBA.com
initially,
portal.
one
That was
sometime.
good enough for you.
Yeah, that was good enough for me. That was,
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So,
but
guys,
just one thing. As you said,
yeah,
I'll just add
please,
to it.
please.
Whatever any student may take, any particular course, any particular, whatever you have chosen, just complete that. Don't keep that fear of missing out. No, I will take this, I will take this, I will take, then you end up enrolling in four courses and doing none. Don't that helps nobody.
Hmm, that's
When
very
you have
interesting.
chosen something, you trust it, you go through it, and definitely it will help you.
It's very interesting that you said that. I recently had a student who done the private tutoring with me, improved quite a lot, gave the mocks, did the mock analysis, everything. Suddenly, something came up that, okay, let me listen to this source, listen to that source. Some source says, okay, not only are the GMAT within the section adaptive, it is also intersection adaptive. And suddenly this guy's head turns, and instead of attempting the usual verbal first, quant, and then DI, which he was doing in the mocks, this guy suddenly turns and, okay, let me do quant first. That is, and then this, and this is just out of the blue, just by listening to these kind of baseless talks, because honestly speaking, the official website has said nothing on this. And to take, so it's best to stick to the source, trust
Whatever
it,
source you have chosen,
whatever
trust
source
it.
you have chosen.
Because
Do the
good
homework
people
before
are
choosing the
scoring.
source.
Yeah, you can do your research.
That's okay,
The
right?
thing is, from all sources, there are people who are excelling. So all sources are able to deliver. You have to, whatever
Definitely.
source you take, you trust it. Simple.
But at least you also trust your own practice. So suddenly,
Yes.
after going through the sections or in a certain order, suddenly you don't change one fine day, though, let me try something
Yeah.
new. In fact, that's something even I'd like to leave with my viewers here, that please, when you're practicing, when you're giving the mocks, the aim should be, this is what I'm going to do in the exam. It's not like, now I have time, if I have time I'll be able to solve it. You'll always have that limited amount of time, right? So what you're going to eventually do, that is how you should plan towards, right,
Yes.
Sanjay?
Practice should be equal to final. You cannot do
Correct. I think that
something in
is
practice and
so
just change it.
important. I mean, people tell themselves, delude themselves, okay, this is not the final thing, this is not the mock, I'll take extra care."
That never happens.
It never happens. Absolutely, it never happens. And that's a big learning, that if you're just going to keep thinking that. So I'll just quickly put out a link there on the screen. For those of you watching us and would like to get in touch with us, you can book a free call with our strategy experts using that calendly.com link. And I'll also put up a few more contact credentials in a moment. All right. So Sanchay, final final note, what you'd like to leave the viewers with?
Exam, the GMAT exam seems tougher than it is. If you study to the modules, you study to the syllabus, and you practice, decent enough practice, you can get a good score. Anybody can get a good score. And my wishes to everybody who's going for it, with a proper plan and proper practice, anybody can have a good score.
Amazing. That was, in fact, I also got a lot of insights from you, honestly, today, Sanchay. I mean, such a lot of interesting things that I also understood. And as a private tutor, as a mentor, it will also hopefully help me in future. So, guys, you can also connect with us over that WhatsApp number, mail to us. You can also check out the free trial version using the GMATWhiz.com ID. And let me also once again, so Sanchay, um, excited for the next steps?
Yes, I'm just in the process of the next steps, applying to all the B schools and all.
Great, great. So wishing you all the very, very best.
Thank you.
So glad to have you with us today, and um, leaving so many things for everybody to watch. So those of you who are watching this, guys, and those of you who just joined or missed out on certain other things, you can watch this recording. It'll be available on YouTube. And thank you so much, Sanchay, once again.
Thank you for having me,
So
ma'am.
all
Thank
the
you.
very best for your future. Take
Thank you.
care. Bye bye.
Bye
Thank
bye. Good
you,
night.
everybody, for attending the webinar. Thank you, and all the very best.